here's the tutorial. I like to start with existing VR template and discuss how to set up the blueprint interaction between two levels. But before we do that, I just want to quickly create a new level. So the test one, this is the current starting level. So to start a new level, I would recommend just duplicate the current one. And I give this name hello world, just a single sentence, hello world, and I save it. Okay, so this will be the new level. If I double click, it's basically hello world, which looks identical to the test one. You do see I do not have light built. That's the reason you don't see this file. And also the lighting looks not exactly the same as the test 01. That's okay. So we're gonna delete objects we don't need as a fresh start. I will go ahead, get rid of the things I don't need. Basically, I think we can just get rid of all the pieces, even including the wall. Okay, so this is all gone. I don't need this one. I don't need this one. Okay. So this is all the pieces we can simply get rid of. I don't think we need this room at all. So the only thing I need to keep here is the basic ground. I don't even need these two lights. There's a sound files right here I can get rid of. Okay. All right, so this is a fresh start. I don't really need this text, no teleport. Okay. Okay, so it all looks good. I don't think I need these lights, so get rid of these lights. For this table, I think I will just simply get rid of this as well. I don't really need a gun, so get rid of these two guns. And also these boxes I can simply get rid of. Just make sure you are deleting the right file, okay? All right, so this is a fresh start. The only thing I probably want to leave here is this widget. In the future, I will create a new widget. So this widget will allow me to teleport back to the lobby, the test 01. On test 01, I should have something to teleport to here. But I think for now, I will get rid of this one too. So it's a fresh start. Okay. So I will save the file. What is this? Oh, this is transparent box. So Control S, save the file. All right, so I have this super fresh start. This is called Hello World. As you can see here, the only thing I left here is the direction sunlight floor. I can definitely increase the size. I think right now is relatively small, but I can definitely increase. Right, so this is the elements. If you search, and see this is the material. For the geometry, this is just simply the cube. Okay, so I will. I think I can just simply do 42, and y I will do 44. So it's all doubled. Okay, so height I think I can keep as 1. That should be fine. All right. So this is a much larger ground. If you increase the ground, just make sure this is called a navigation mesh. If I press P, right, you can see the navigation mesh represent the areas you can teleport to. The reason you have this one here, if you see, this is a navigation modifier, no teleport. So this is actually a kind of block you are not able to teleport to. I can get rid of it, so I don't need this. So if you do want to make sure the teleportation boundaries, all right, this is the called navigation bound. Navigate mesh bound is large enough. So here I can increase the size directly here, or I can just changing the scale, right? So here I can double as 2, so that basically cover the entire size. I think probably 1.5 should be good enough. All right, So I will move this a little bit. Just make sure this navigation mesh overlapping with the area you can teleport to. Okay, so this is a much larger area. I'm able to use navigation mesh to move around. Another boundary is this is called the light mass important volume. This is basically the volume you can calculate the massing of the light mass. So I will increase this a little bit, so it's cover the roughly the same size. Okay, so now I should have the similar boundaries which cover the entire side. Okay, all right. So I think I'm done. Then I will save everything. Okay, so this is a new level. For this new level, I definitely have a player start, right, which is still here. Okay, so I can still be able to navigate through first person, VR, third person. So if you do the first person and play, you basically see. Uh, I think I'm falling down. Sorry. The reason is I need to make this one a little bit up. Okay, so play. Right, so I'm kind of on the ground, not falling down. Um, Reflection capture need to be rebuilt. There's some weird reflections. So press P to disable the navigation mesh. The reflection, of course, I probably need to make this a little bit close to the center. And then I will build reflection. Okay. So if I play again, better, right? So now I'm able to navigate. You can also switch this to third person if you want to take a look. BP third person. Although this is not a good one for VR because the shader is too complicated, but you do have this third person. Okay, so I have this empty ground I can set as my starting point. All right, so for this new level, I will bring a couple of things here as my hello the world. So I will save all. So the first thing I'm gonna bring in is maybe just a couple of objects. So I have one. This is called TM. Um, I think this is a two motion geometry I created in another project. If you want to take a look, this one has 92,000 points, so it's relatively large. It's kind of like an abstract building made by sub-D modeling in Rhino. So I will simply drag and drop. Right. So this model is right here. The center point is off, so you have to manually drag it here. Make sure it's kind of close. All right. So we have this model right here. If I play, I should be able to see. It's kind of like an abstract building. There's the basic collision here. You are not able to, but here you can really see inside. Okay. All right. So this is a kind of strange building. I have it right here. I do want to make sure this is ideal for the VR. So the 2092 vertices or 71 triangles is definitely a question, maybe hurt the frame rate. So in my opinion, we should go ahead to create some LOD for it. So it's not gonna hurt the performance if you are pretty far away from it. If you have a low poly version to replace it. So the way you can do the LOD is go to the LOD settings, right? You can, right now is only one LOD. I will do maybe 3, enter, and here you can hit apply. So once you apply this LOD to it, it start to compute. Because the complexity of this model, this could take a few minutes maybe. And after that, you should have several versions of LOD based on this model. Okay, definitely take some time. So now, if I go back to my static mesh, I should have these three options. So if I go to the LOD2, this is the low poly version. It looks pretty bad, but this is from far away. LOD1, which looks not too bad. LOD0, which is the original one. Okay, so we have several versions. Okay, so we have this one. Then I will give a basic material. I think this one is still probably from the Word. So I will not using this because this one is transferred from Twinmotion. Oh, sorry, this is one is the default Word grid system. I don't want to use it. So let me just docking this. Save all. Okay. So what I will try is find a really basic material. So I will go to the mobile starter content material, right? I will just simply using a blue color, solid blue to it. So that's good enough. Nothing really fancy. Um, so once we have this here, it's taking a moment to prepare the shaders. I don't think this one has anything fancy. Not sure why it's taking so long, but here we go. Right, we have this. Um, I will make this building a little bit lower. Okay, so if you push this down and press P now, you see the navigation mesh probably gonna update. Yeah. Okay, because this building I have a collision set up already. If you actually go to the projects details, if you type collision, right, I have this collision set as a collision, use complex collision as simple. What means is just using the default geometry as a collision objects, which could be quite expensive for real-time computing. However, because I'm using the navigation mesh, right, as a way to teleport, so you can see it will basically ignore some of the details. So the green zone is the area you are able to teleport to. So it's not too bad for the collision. There are other ways to compute collision in a more kind of efficient way. So if you want to browse right to it, double click. There's a manual way you can customize the collision, and you can compute. But this is gonna take some time to set up the collision. There's options here. You can do a box sphere. To me, I will do a auto convex collision. This is the part you can actually increase its number to get a more accurate collision than you had apply if you compute. So in general, the higher values, the more accurate, but it will probably generate more data than is necessary. So here I just using the count 4 vertex as 16 with a very low precision. So you see this green zone is actually the generated collision, which is not too bad. Again, here in the if you close this and type collision, we used to have this complex as simple. So I just simply swap this back to project default. So it's not using the complex anymore. It's just using the project default. And you save it. So back to here, if you really want to see the collision now, you can click Show Collision. You can sort of see there is a wireframe cross, right? This is representation of that collision mesh. So it's not really accurate, but it doesn't matter. Since you see the green area on the ground, this is a part you can teleport to. So it's not really gonna be a big deal. You can go inside the building for sure. Okay, so I will just go to the view, show, turn off the collision display. Okay, so the green area are the place I want to be able to navigate to. All right, so let's save the file again. I think that's it for my Word. Then I'm going to maybe just create a bunch of other stuff here for the trees and maybe for the people. So in a migrated folder, I have more people populated. They are from the Twinmotion, so it's really cheap. So you maybe recall, this. I can just drag and drop, drag and drop. So you can have as many as you want. This doesn't really hurt the performance because they are basically two-dimension billboard type of people. So I can just put a bunch of them there. All right, I think that's enough. Maybe I will put a few people on the other side. Again, they are pretty cheap, so it's feel free. You can do as many as you want. Okay, I think that's probably enough. Okay, P to turn off the navigation mesh. All right, I think that's good. Um, Maybe put a few people in. Okay, I have auto snapping, so basically it just snap to the ground automatically. That's pretty nice. Right. Okay. So I have all the people there. I do have actually a tree. This is using exactly the same technique. If you double click, this is billboard tree. I have this material. Double click. This is the texture. Double click. This is a 512 by 1024 PNG file with alpha channel. So you have this tree. Um, that's exactly the same billboard technique. So if I drag it here, maybe change the scale to, I don't know, 5, so you can have a tree here. Again, this is super cheap. You can actually play. It's a sort of two-dimension, but it's always facing your camera, right? So you don't really see the backside of it. I prefer this way when you do the mobile VR. You do not want to have a super complicated three-dimension tree here. Okay. All right. So I have the tree. Bad size. What this mean? Oh, it basically means this starting point is too low. It's below the ground, so you want to make sure it's above the ground. All right, so this is the tree. Maybe I will just duplicate a bunch of other trees. So if you recall holding Alt, right, then when you W to move, holding Alt is a duplication. So you can easily duplicate another tree. You can duplicate another tree. You do not want to actually using the foliage paint because the foliage paint doesn't really compute the actual geometries. It's pretty fast, but it's not gonna work with a billboard tree because it doesn't really automatic rotate. If I'm correct, so I just put a bunch of trees here and I play. Let's do the first person really quick. I do the BP first person and play. Yeah, that looks pretty good. We have a bunch of trees and then we have this building, right? Although everything looks pretty flat for now, that's okay. We're adding some lights. We're adding some cool materials. Okay, so far it looks. First thing I did is I just quickly build the lights. You can make the lights quality as low or medium, then you build the lights. After you build the lights, the blue sky looks more real now, right? It's catching some blue color to the building. As you can see, the building right now is a static, so it doesn't really do casting any dynamic shadows. The shadow on the ground is actually baked into the light map. So keep in mind, this is a pretty cheap, efficient way. Uh, because the size of the model, I think if I really take a look at the UV set, so double click UV, it has two channels. UV channel 1 is actually the one capture the lighting. You can see it's actually break apart all the pieces into very tiny triangles. Again, this is not ideal for complicated polygon like this, but it's better than do not have it, right? So this is in in UV channel 1. This is the one used to bake the light. Okay, so now let's go back to the word. Let me see. I will just go ahead create a few more lights. Then we'll see the result. Okay, so I will go ahead create a new light, and I will create maybe a point light right here, kind of match the same setting as we did in another project. So this is right close to the entrance. That looks pretty good, and then I make the light a little bit purple. I can change the light to static, right? You can decide if you need the shadow or not. In my case, yes, I probably want to keep the shadow, make the light a little bit purplish. Yeah, that looks good. All right. If you like, you can make a light IES profile. I do not repeat here. You already know how to do it. Is one of the features you can drop. You can maybe just plug in anything you like. If you do choose the for example the IES, this is actually works better if you swap the light from spotlight to from point light to spotlight. Because this one, I mean, the point light doesn't really have a direction, right? So let me just simply, yeah, let me simply delete that. I will go ahead and create a directional a spotlight. So that's actually more accurate. So this spotlight, I will move it here, move up, right? And then I will make sure this one's facing down. So rotate the light. Okay, so this is kind of facing down. Then you make sure it's static, right? It's cheaper when you do a static. Then for the IES, I will just choose a light profile. Okay, so this, let me see if I can choose a different one. They all looks pretty good. Yeah, let me just choose this one. All right, so that is the IES profile light, and I'll give you some purple color. So you have this first, you see the tree is rotating, the shadow is rotating too. It's pretty cool. So let's save all, and I will play again. And you have this, the building, and you can go closer, you can see it. Okay, so this is basically the site. If I do want to make the site a little bit like late afternoon, I will go ahead rotate my sunlight, right? So sunlight here I can rotate, make it a little bit flat, and then you need to click the sky sphere, and then you click refresh. So we'll update the material based on the angle of your sun. Okay, so this is like a late afternoon type of orange. Okay, that looks better. Whenever you do this kind of light adjustment, make sure you rebuild the lights after. So build the lights. That will actually reflect this kind of orange color to the building. If you don't bake or rebuilding the light, you won't really see the impact. Because we made this building a little bit bluish, so that maybe has a little bit, impact on the overall color. But this looks good. All right, I think we're done with this new level. Let's just keep it simple. This tree, I don't need this. I think it's too close. The tree looks better if this is like a backdrop, right? You see the tree from far away, but when you get really close, the tree doesn't look very real. So make sure you get rid of the tree if it's too close. Okay, so I think this is good. Then let's go ahead, create a connection between these two levels. So first, I will go back to my default level, which is a test 0. Let's save all. Right, and then I will just click a button. I can jump to the hello world. So test 0, 1. And here I already have this called widget. So if you browse to asset, you can see this is the actor. This actor is the placeholder. If I double click to the viewport, you see this one has a children within. This is called a widget. widget, and this widget is linked to widget class. If I click search, it's basically linked to these two, page one, page two. Right? This is the two widget. If I double click the widget one, this is basically a kind of flat two-dimension layout. And here you have a bunch of things like text, buttons, So this is the P1, page one. Double click P2, you see the similar thing. Second page have some buttons. Okay, so this is the widget. The nice thing about widget is you can program the interactions between these two widgets. For example, if I use P1 to show you, when I click the next page, it's basically load page 2 right into the current one. So let's take a look at the script. If you drag down, you can see here is on press. There's something added. You can also go to graph. Here's another way you can actually see the script. Right? If I just click, the button, go all the way down to view, you can see this is basically an event. This event, when you press the button, some action will happen, right? In this case, if you start to search the actor class, this actor class called widget billboard. So that is exactly this guy. If you see this one, it is widget billboard. Right? So the Unreal Blueprint will search the entire level, try to identify if there's any actors class is widget billboard. Okay, you can also see these properties right in the details. This guy is a widget. It is the widget billboard. Okay, so you will find one, and then you're using this to sort. Maybe you have multiple widget, billboard class in the level. So just find the first one, and then you're using a function. This is called set widget. It will basically swap the P2, right? Use P2 to replace P1. So here is create a widget, then using the P2 to feed into the new widget, right? This is called set widget. Okay, so that is the logic here. So what happened is if I play, now if I click the button, right now I'm looking at the widget, billboard, which is the three-dimension class here. Within it, you have P1, right, page one. So if you click next page, it's basically loading page two, P2, into the billboard. You can also click back, it's loading the P1. So this is the way you can go back and forth between these two widgets. If you really look into the script in the P2, right, in the back button, if I click the graph, the back button is basically loading the P1 back to the billboard. So that's it. This is the logic. You can create this kind of two-dimension interactions between two pages. But for us, this is something different. I like to, when I go to the P2, I have this start button, right? I want this button be able to, when you press, right? I want this button to do something else. I want this loading a different level. So the way to do that is click on press, right? You create this new event, and then I will choose open level, right? Open level by name. So this is basically a script. Whenever you click, it's basically loading a new level. And this new level name has to match with the target. So in this case, it's called Hello World, right? So I want to make sure this is the right name. Hello World, WORLD. Okay, so this is the compile, save. So this will load that. So let's take a look at if it's working. So save all and play. Okay, so now I have this next page. Click, right? I have this back, but if I click start, hey, I'm loading to a new level. So that works pretty well. That's how you basically load, from one level to another. The reason why the laser is able to interact with the button, this could be another tutorial in the future I will talk. So basically, you just need to activate the widget interaction component in that spawn in that pawn right here. Um, Maybe I can talk really quick since we are here already. So here's a pawn. If you search the first person pawn, I create this widget interaction, which is able to simulate this laser. Uh, you can, use a laser to point, to click. So that's the widget interaction. I also have some, script, so to simulate the widget interaction, simulate a press. So when you have pointer, you can release or press the pointer key, simulate the left mouse button, and press and release. Okay, so that's how this script do. For the VR is exactly the same. So if I switch to the VR game mode, and here I have this pawn, right? If you search, I have this VR pawn. In the future, I will talk more about this VR pawn. Okay, right here. Double click, and here you can see I created the same widget interaction for my left mouse button, for my left trigger and the right trigger. I think this is the one, right? So it's trigger the press and release. Okay. Um, yeah, I think that's it for the widget interaction. I do want to just yeah, I think we'll talk more about this in the future because right now it's a little bit too overwhelming to talk so many things all together. All right, so let's save everything, and then let's just create another widget in the new level, right? So you are able to teleport back. So this is exactly the same. I can go here. Maybe the best way is just duplicate. So let's go to TM widget, and here this is billboard for the test 01. So here I will duplicate. I will call this back lobby billboard. Okay, back lobby billboard. All right, so that's good. For the 2D widget, I will just maybe just duplicate this second one. I will call this widget back to lobby. Okay, so you have this, save. For the back to lobby, I will double click. I will just change the text really quick. So I will give the text name back to lobby. Okay. I don't really need a back button anymore, right? So just one button here. And I can rename this from start to back to lobby. Okay, so you can basically click and back to lobby. And the script, right here, I don't need this one anymore, is to open the test 0, correct? Right, so this is going back to the first, it's called test 0. Yeah, it's the uppercase with an under dash 01. So you want to make sure this is exactly match with the name, otherwise it's not gonna work. Okay, so compile, save. All right, so have this widget, right, saved. Then let's make sure go back to the widget, right? For the widget back to lobby billboard, I need to do something, right? So what is this? Yeah, I will leave this here. It doesn't really matter. Toggle menu, you don't really need this, right? The reason is when you do the VR, you don't really have a keyboard. But anyway, let's leave it here. Doesn't hurt. So in the viewport, this is still loading the P1. So here you want to make sure this is loading to the back to lobby widget. Okay, so save it, compile and save it. All done. Then I will just simply drag it to someplace. Okay, I think it's backwards, so maybe just simply rotate. Okay, that's good. So now if I play, I should be able to see that widget right there. If I get really close and click back to lobby, yeah, I'm loading back to my lobby, right? So in the lobby, just make sure in the default test 01, I want to make sure this is my first person BP game mode. Not third person, first person. So save all again and play. So I create this really simple navigation between the two levels. So next page, start loading this new level. Right, that looks pretty awesome. Then if you want to go back, click back to lobby, you go here, right? And you see the video and other stuff. So this is how you do the navigation between the two levels. Start. All right, and all the people looks right. They all facing you. Um, and of course there's a collision. You are not able to get in. But later when you do the VR, right, you can use the teleport to get inside the building. That can be done. You can also go to the back of the building this way. Next, I want to just build a really quick package to see if this navigation works. So I will go ahead, open, just make sure you close the things you don't need. I have too many windows open. So what I will do is open the project settings, everything you don't need. And in project settings, in the packaging, I think right now I have only one map added, right, in the list of maps. So here, just make sure you add another map. So this is called Hello World. Okay, so this has to be exactly match. So what happened here? List of maps included in a package. Can I just say file name to long pack name failed to convert? The result would be okay. But why? I don't have a long name. That is strange. Okay, let me choose delete and add one more time. Okay, yeah, I don't know what happened. But here, content, I want to link this to Hello World, UMap, right? Okay, so we have these two will be packaged into the installation file. So that's important. Um, you also want to make sure which one is the starting, right? Which one is the start. So here in the maps, I set test01 as the start. So that should be good. All right, so let me save all. And then I will go ahead to do a package. So Android package project. I will do new VR15 and then select folder, start a package. Okay, so this will take for a while since it's trying to compile the new shaders, new levels. Did another quick modification, created a new level called test02 because I don't want to mess up the original test01. So it's a duplication of test01. So in the test02, I basically relocate the video texture right here on the wall, animated texture right here. Also, I got rid of the guns. I don't need them. And I replace the table with my own version. So here's the Lunar New Year texture, graffiti. On the back is another graffiti. Okay. I also deleted this animated boy. I don't think I need this. I also changed the sunlight to actually static because I'm not really animating anything here. I don't really care too much about the shadow from the motion controller. So it's a good idea just keep all the lights as a static. Will perform much better. Same thing for the wall. This one's static, so everything will be baked when you do the light map. right? And when baking, I using the production quality, and I did a bake the light, build the light. So everything looks really good, and cheaper than the original one because I do not have the gun, do not have the animated boy casting the dynamic shadow anymore. Everything's static. And back to the hello world, I just adding a few more lights. I think the lighting could be more if I want to create this kind of nighttime visual effects. So here are some red light in front of this video wall. So if I play, you basically can see the video will kick in, right? So you will be there, and also the red light is kind of simulate the glowing effects from the video wall. Because you are not using the mobile HDR, so there's not really a bloom effects. So using a red light could help you to achieve that kind of visual. And also here I baked the shadows on the ground. Quick thing is anything large, you want to bake the light, you probably want to increase the resolution of the light map. So in this case, I override the original, I think it's only 64, and increase this to 2048. So it's a pretty higher resolution compared to the original one. But because the ground is pretty large, you do want to have some higher resolution light map to bake the shadow effects. Otherwise, you won't really see this show up in a kind of accurate way. All right, I think I have all the zero, the hello world and the 02. So just keep in mind in the button, right? This is the widget, and the widget I basically linked the back to lobby button. If I show you, right? So here, graph, right? Use the zero test 02. So when you click the back lobby button, you jump to the test level 2. I also did a quick modification on the project settings. So right now the starting map is the test 02. So I'm not using test 01 anymore. Just keep in mind, just communication between test 02 and hello world. Plus in the packaging, whenever you're adding a new map, just keep in mind you want to add this directly here, list of maps to include. So here I have test 02. I got rid of test 01 to save some baking time, build time. So this is basically a list of all the levels you want to set up. So start test 02, then you teleport right to hello world, then you can come back between these two. Then I will do another packaging, and then I will show you the final result. Do a really quick stream through the side quest so you can see what this app looks like. Okay. So first I'm going to the app, go to the unknown layer 5. So at the beginning you should be able to see the lobby, which is a test 02. And here I have some updated tables here. You should be able to use the side grab to pick up the box. And also you are able to see the video. You also are able to see the animated textures right there. And also I'm able to teleport to this. Then you should be able to see this red dot, which represent the trigger. I can use the front left mouse, left hand to trigger that, and I can click start. So this is the new level. This is the hello world. So this is the place you actually see the animated videos, and also I'm able to see baked shadow from the lights on the ground. Okay. Then if I look around, I can see the billboard people. Really depends on if you get close, it will load it as a higher resolution. But if you are pretty far away, it's loaded as a lower resolution. So that's a nice thing about the billboard. So it's kicking with a high resolution, we'll get really close. All right, Starry Night, then I can go back. So whenever you overlay your center point to the button, then you should be able to see the red dot represent the clickable buttons. If I click, I'm loading back to my lobby. So this is a whole kind of navigation. You can have two levels. You can navigate through these two levels. Okay. I think that's it. Let me exit. Quit.